Hello and welcome to our latest series of devotionals from St Mary's, Upton. We've been hearing from a variety of people. Thank you to all of those who've been contributing to this theme of holding on to hope. We're looking at different ways into the Bible, different sections, perhaps some big ideas that we're sort of putting into sort of smaller parcels so that we can digest them together. And each day we look at some aspect of Christian understanding and see how it helps us to hold on to hope during this tricky season that we're living through. Devotional really means sort of pondering and thinking and perhaps meditating about the things that matter. We say, don't we, he's devoted to his garden, or she's devoted to that dog. It means you can see what's important to someone from the focus of their lives, from where we put our energy and our attention, where we spend our time. And our St Mary's devotionals hopefully give us space to give to God so that he has our attention day by day. I'm going to take a theme which starts at the beginning, at creation, and works its way through the Bible into the end of the Bible, and that will be Revelation. And we're looking at something that's mentioned many, many times, perhaps over 100 times in the Bible, and that is trees. Something of a challenge to you is to go and see how many times trees are mentioned in the Bible and their different purposes. The big characters of the Bible often have trees in episodes associated with them, and you can think about what trees are associated with Bible people like David and Abraham and Noah and Moses and the prophets, about Jonah and Jeremiah. And then what about Jesus? What tree is associated with him? And then you can think about whether you've got a favourite tree, perhaps a tree that you walk past regularly or see. Perhaps you're fortunate enough to have something in your garden. You might watch birds nest there and fly in and out, or you might even climb it. So in the next few days we'll look at trees, and in the beginning, in Genesis, we'll think about a story of trees in the Hebrew scriptures, and we'll talk about how trees can encourage us to be patient and to rest, and the fruit that trees give us, how the saddest tree gives life, and then the forever tree that heals the world. So first off, we'll think about those trees at the beginning. Now, you might take some time to read Genesis 1 up to chapter 2, verse 3, with the account of God's creation there, his creative power and his breath bringing into life something for nothing. And you might want to watch out for things that are occurring as you're reading through, and there might be something about the order, there might be something about the words and the phrases, and just mark something down as we're going through. So I shall sort of read a sort of slightly shortened account. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and God said, "Let there be light." And there was light, and God saw that the light was good. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. And then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly across the earth, across the vault of the sky." And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made, and God saw that it was good. And then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness." So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them, and it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. And by the seventh day God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. Now you can do a little bit more background work on this if you like. There's a wonderful structure to Genesis 1, which I haven't got time to go into, but is really all about the sevens and the way that the Hebrew uses multiples of seven. The whole creation account has a harmony, has an order. Just reflect on the word good as you're reading and hearing, and the number of times that it occurs. And for your own application, you might want to think about, what do you see as good in the world, particularly in the midst of a pandemic with so much stress and uncertainty? What are you holding on to that is good, that is God-given? Whatever is good and noble and true, think about such things. You might want to just write it down as something that you want to give thanks to God for. Note too what God's first word is as he creates. Let there be. Let it happen. Let it become. Let it exist. This is permission giving to allow something to come from nothing. It's creative. You might want to think right now, where are you allowing God's Spirit, his breath, to animate and enliven and give new vision and new heart and renewal to things around you, relationships, perhaps communities, perhaps art itself, that you are going into a new phase, perhaps of being creative. I want to give thanks to God for that and just say, let it be according to your will, Lord. Now, further into the garden that God has created, you have the focus of the first of our trees. Genesis 2. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden. The Lord God made all kinds of trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The Lord commanded the man, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, all the kinds I've planted, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die. Can you see God's freedom there? Man, my image, you are free. You are free. We have God saying the way to live wisely is to live freely in my domain with my gift. Freedom and trust in me is wise living. That brings wisdom to the world. Adam means humanity. Eve means life. The human life is one of choice-making, decision-bearing, storytelling, of being formed, either with godly character or leaning in and showing off our own. Adam and Eve, human life, made a choice to eat from the one tree that God had said no to, and it took them further and further away from God. It was a sad day. As God joins them among the trees in the garden, his first words are a question: where are you? He looks for them because he knows they are lost. Their garden of freedom has become a wooded maze of fear and loss, of dead ends and running away. So which garden are we in? Are we in the one that is about God's freedom, or are we in the wilderness? Wise living is making godly choices. The tree of life is wisdom, wisdom rooted in God, like a tree rooted in good soil. How we make our choices is how we make our lives. Do we go our own way, full of self-reliance and self-importance and self-regard, which lead to thorns and thistles and pain and death, or God's way, the way of godly character, godly wisdom, fruitfulness, the way of the kingdom? So welcome to the trees, to God's wood. In times of confusion and bewilderment, we do want to see the wood from the trees, and God invites you to see the tree too. Lent is a time for turning back to God, of turning away from our own path and turning towards the tree of life, which is life in God and living his wisdom. So God says, where are you? And what do you say back to him? And so later we'll see what occurs when we rely on different trees to provide the way for us.